Hello everyone, Eric the Car Guy here with another episode of Eric the Car Guy. I often get asked, Eric, as far as aftermarket parts go, what is the comparison with OE other than the OE parts cost a lot more? So I thought I'd do this quick video since I had this opportunity to show directly what my experiences have been in these cases. And what we have here today is I have a 1999 Acura RL that has a 3.5 liter engine and the upper radiator hose let go on it. So we're going to take a look at that and look at the aftermarket part and look at the OE part. All right, here on the bench I have the original part that I did not wrap tape around this, but this was an attempt by the owner to keep it from coming off. This is the original hose that came on the vehicle when it was born, and this is the aftermarket hose. Now you can see that there's a difference, like right off. I mean, the curvature is close to being the same, but not quite. But the fact that it's a good 2, maybe 3 inches longer on the one end is an issue. And what would happen is if you try to put this on just like this, is you would have to compress it in such a way that you would put a kink in that hose. If you just put it straight on just like this, you'd be putting a kink in that hose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up cutting this hose here and cutting the hose here in order to get it to occupy about the same amount of space. So I actually have to make extra effort in order to install this part. And that's kind of what I run into sometimes with aftermarket parts. Sometimes you can find, and believe it or not, a lot of the aftermarket companies actually manufacture for the original equipment, the company that produced the car. Say for instance, I know my friends at Wells make the ignition modules for GM. So if you buy one from them, it's kind of like you're buying the same part without the markup. Well, every once in a while you run into that, but then you get these other companies that come along and have their own tooling and everything like that and make something that sort of fits, or perhaps this part fits multiple applications and they make it so that, okay, if it's longer, it'll fit this application, and if they trim it down, it'll fit this application. So this part may fit multiple vehicles. It may, go on more than just this RL. So, and they do that to try and, maximize the return on their investment of the tooling that they put into making these parts. But the bottom line is you have to go through extra effort in order to install some of these things. Whereas if I just bought an original equipment part, I could just put it right on there. Although the original equipment part would cost a lot more. So it's an interesting argument, and you really have to take a look at, the vehicle that you're working on. And this thing has got a few miles on it. This is not its only issue. So, I mean, it's appropriate to buy an aftermarket part for this. But as far as my opinion is, either they don't always work as well, or there's some issue somewhere, or, something that you have to deal with to make an extra effort to install that part sometimes. So that's just something to be aware of when dealing with aftermarket parts. Now, does this mean that Eric the Car Guy is saying don't buy aftermarket parts? No, I'm not, because I use lots of aftermarket parts. It saves me and the people I know and my customers money. So that's what I do. But there are occasions where I run into things like this where I have to go the extra mile. Now, I didn't purchase this part. The customer purchased this part. I'm going to use their part. That's just how it's going to be. I'm not always going to be happy about it, but that's just kind of the way it is. So I'm not going to say don't buy aftermarket parts, but I will say they don't always fit. And in some cases, don't always work as good as the OE. And the reason for that is, as I've made this argument before in domestics versus imports, it's the use of materials. If you use cheap materials, you end up with cheap parts. Use good materials, you end up with good parts, but you pay for it because those good materials cost more. The tooling costs more, the materials cost more, everything costs more. So you have to make up that cost. It's actually, when you look at it, it's all about the bottom line. Anyway, I'm Eric the Car Guy. I look forward to your responses to this and your experiences with aftermarket parts, being good, bad, ugly, whatever. Feel free to share. I have my show here on Mondays and Fridays, so look for me then. And also you can find me on Google+, Facebook, and Twitter. And always at ericthecarguy.com. If you have automotive questions, go there and use the search box, and you can type in a couple of keywords and you might get an answer. Anyway, be safe, have fun, stay dirty. I'll see you in the comments. Check you later.